morning, traders. Thought I'd give you a live stream today. Not feeling 100%, so not sure I'm going to be trading, but at least I'll go over this pre-market with you. So looking at the daily, need to first anecdote all these areas. So this was our close yesterday. All right, so it becomes very, very important. As does the high. And you want to be going through these processes every single day. And the low. Sorry, the open. Wake up, Alex. And the low down here. So what are we looking at? So we've been in a range now for a couple of weeks, as you can probably see. Pull this a bit close. We've been in a range for a couple of weeks here, just trapping liquidity. And yesterday we went and tested the top of this range, an old supply, before rolling over. And we now got stuck in demand and we're going to push up. So really it's going to depend if we are going to do a failed follow through type of move. Okay, so what would a failed follow through type of move look like? Let's just take all these off. Okay, we would be looking at the anchored VWAPs. You can see are both at critical levels there. They are at the previous day open, and we can also take a fib from yesterday's high to the low and be looking for a retracing to 50% and above, which we are starting to get now. So now we need to think about, are we going to get a rotation which would look something like this? Okay, we'd need to look for that lower time frame to agree, do a change in character, break a structure, and a rotation off the low. Okay, that would be the move we're looking at to come and attack all the liquidity underneath. If we do not do that, we need to be very, very careful of a rotation where it holds this imbalance and comes all the way back up and squeezes. Right, both of these are very much on the table today. Both of them are very, very much on the table, so we do need to be cautious of that. Going down to a 15-minute time frame now. Actually, let's go to a 1 hour because I know there's a nice block here. Here we go. So here is your hourly supply. Now this supply was caused from a drop-based drop, and that was yesterday. So we can do this as red. And we have a block up here at the top that we created, and we might as well put that in. So if we start flipping this block here, right, we need to be very cautious of a move up, a pull in and hold, and then the expansion back up. That would complete this cup. This would be a whole cup at that point. So from a higher standpoint, we'd be completing a cup, and if we completed that cup, you could expect the handle to pull back and hold for that expansion higher. So that might be a Friday move if we are going to get bullish today. So those are the things I'm looking at pre-market. Right, I'm very, very cautious today. We are in a very, very interesting level where yesterday you might have seen I got caught trying to catch this dip for the rotation up. Now what they did was very smart. They rotated back to the lows, which is what you should do in a range bound market. We should be looking for those rotation off supply to the low and vice versa. So that's where we're at the moment. Going down to a lower time frame now. And now I'm going to put my flow zones on. And my SMAs. So we're coming back up to the 5-day, which is also right next to the anchored VWAP. So I am tempted to look short here, but I'm going to need a shift in market structure for me to really consider that at all on the short side. Otherwise, I'm very, very cautious that we are just going to remain pumping all day here. We are right above previous day open. We just took it. So in terms of liquidity, that could be a nice liquidity grab. $73. So I'm just moving my charts on Ninja. So important you don't fight the trend here. Okay, the lower time frame is without a doubt very, very bullish. So just watching price action here for now. As we're coming into these levels of liquidity here, so if we're going to do the wash to move lower, the completion of the cup would just be to here, and we would need to see this kind of pattern to come lower. Very, very cautious about this demand now that we've created. If we go back to an hourly chart here, okay, we've washed a lot of these stops from the last few sessions, and this block here is still holding very, very nicely. So we are in bullish order flow, but again, like I said, if we're going to get the failed follow through, we'd get it into this level. Starting to attack these anchors now. So really just got to wait for the open, see if we squeeze at the open through them. Obviously got non-farms coming tomorrow. So they'll use any liquidity they build today to do the move tomorrow. And now just got to be patient. So these are my other indicators I use for confluence. So obviously this is the Nasdaq. So this is just slightly more weighted in tech. We've got the Dixie here, which has not been trading very well in terms of alignment with the ES recently, so you have to be very cautious of this. It did roll over yesterday, and we are in a pattern where it wants to move down. And the VIX still near its lows, so we're unlikely to get a huge flush short side on the market until the VIX is ready to break out. And as you can see, it has just been trending lower and lower and lower for months now, just stuck in this down channel. Okay, so when we were rolling over in the market, we were all the way up here towards the 20s. Right, and the VIX is nowhere near there, so that is a concern when looking for this failed follow through type of short. So we do not have this huge volatility push. My feeling at the moment is they are very much trying to absolutely destroy options traders with time decay and just chop and chop and chop at the top while it builds the liquidity to do the next move. But those are really your two plays you need to be looking for today. It should either be a failed follow through structure, which should look something like this. You need to wait for the lower time frame to break structure and change character and come down, and you need to be very aware of this demand level down here. And even if it does this pullback, you need to be aware of this type of move here, back up the highs. Okay, because it can very easily squeeze here. If enough shorts got caught yesterday, we can complete this cup, like I said, then do a pullback and then extend. So very, very tricky area here. In terms of range, if I just go back to the daily chart, if we just think about this in terms of range, we are diddling in the middle at this level. All right, here is your high extension, here are your low extensions. This is a very dangerous area to trade in. It is the area I traded in yesterday and got caught. So I will learn my lessons. I know too well that you should not really be trading in these areas. You need to be careful. Best move, in my opinion, will come next week. It will come after we've had non-farm payrolls. So you want to be anecdoting and marking out the 830 level. Okay, that's your ETF pre-market open, and you want to be marking out the close yesterday, and you want to be marking out the pre-market high. So we're now open. Let's just see what we do. Nice fail off the 5-day so far and pre-market high. Didn't quite sweep that liquidity, which is annoying. I would like to see this swept first, ideally, to a low time frame. There's the dip and rip. So now we've swept that liquidity that I talked about, these levels here. We might drive up into this golden fib, all right, into this level of supply I have marked out. So 85 is going to become a very key level, but bear in mind now you have taken out these anchored VWAPs, all right, so they will give it some wiggle room because this is the institutions getting short on these anchors. But this is your golden zone from, you might as well call it 80 to 90, but 85 is kind of your pivot. See how we came up there and stuffed it so far. Like I said, I'm probably not going to trade today. Definitely have early stages of the flu coming on. So just going to talk about price action for you. They are stacking the book at 80. I'm just watching that. We do have some numbers at 10 o'clock. Not red folder, but we do still have some. Let's just see here, eh? We would need Dixie to find a base here on its 5-day and push if we are really going to roll over. Nice flush coming here. I'm going to zoom in here so you can start to see it. So holding dips now on the 1 minute flow zone. Here's your retail trend line. So they might come and want to wash some of this, which would be nice, but again, we are in bullish order flow. We must respect the order flow. Even on the M1, your change of character would not happen until this wick is broken down. So you would need this to happen and a continuation trade here. Obviously, we're in very bullish order flow right now, so you cannot be looking for the short, and I am definitely not looking for the long right now. Not after a huge extension overnight off the demand. The best long was at the lows down here in demand, so we didn't get it. So sometimes this happens. We've had it this week where Asia and London has had all the fun. You just got to be patient. So we're either going to get a change of character under here, or they're going to build liquidity in a flag for this move. You see how choppy it is here. So your change of character, to remind you, would still be under this wick. You would need a close under that wick, a push back in, and a potential rollover. You might be right if you're shorting right now, but you are definitely early. Okay, remember you've got these anchored VWAPs, which we've now got above, which I do not like. There is a seller who's just walked into the market, selling at 78. So we'll see if they want to come and fill him. He's moved his orders down now, 76. So I'm watching Bookmap on a side screen here. And above him you have 79 and 80 levels of liquidity, and then nothing really notable until about 99. So that would be the completion of the cup. If they did 99, it would be all the way up here. So they're trying to build this flag that we talked about off the flow zones for the extension. So this is the 1321 EMA that they're coming back to. So it's not a deep pullback, this is a shallow pullback for a push up. Here is your drive. So we're starting to come towards those golden pockets now, the golden fibs and the supply up above. That does not mean it's an automatic short. I'm just letting you know where we are. Okay, there's the drive. They're trying to run the stops now for the move up. So for me right now, I'm more interested in waiting till 9:45, 10 o'clock to see what we do after this opening 15-minute candle. This is how it should be trading the market. It should be boring and slow. It should not be extremely fun. It should not be a gamble. It is a game of patience and waiting. It's still very early here for me, not even 7 a.m. in the morning. I'm on the West Coast in Los Angeles. Nice rejection there so far on NQ. So it looks like ES is the leader here. Dixie trying to build a flag off the low to extend. Now, if we do that on Dixie and we start moving through these flow zones, and we have a very good chance of rolling over. But like I said, we have not been in a good confluence market with Dixie recently. It's been extremely frustrating where they've been selling the dollar while selling the indices, and then they've been buying the dollar and buying the indices. So it can be very, very tricky to trade like that right now. It's not giving the best indication. I do not like these equal highs left here. They're very clean, which means the market might want to come and take those out. So any stops that who are from short side, their stops are just above here. So it would not surprise me to see a push up and take those. Would much rather see a lower high, higher high, lower high type scenario, even on the wicks on the 1 minute. And it might just chop all day. Like I said, we have non-farms tomorrow. So I'm going to remove this supply block now. Clean it up a bit. Here's the potential pull. So just looking to see if they're going to do the change of character move here, where we can start digging down and rolling over. Again, I am very concerned about these equal highs that they've left. Dixie getting stuck there. So if you can see this on the screen, Dixie trying to do like this cup and handle type move for the breakout, and that's what we need if ES is going to roll over. Okay, if Dixie rolls over here and comes back to test the lows, ES will get a bump up. Again, notice NQ has just held its level, driving straight back up to the previous high, previous close of that 10-minute candle. All right, so these are 10-minute charts down here. Yes, looking like it wants to roll over here, but it can just be a big flag, right? It can be a big flag like this. So we need to be careful and just wait. No rush here. I do like that ES has taken the liquidity on a 15-minute chart. I just don't like those equal highs left. We're in a very tight range again here. So my favorite trade will come after 10:30. Now, I probably won't be around for that today. I'm not really feeling up to it. Probably leave in the next 15 minutes. But my favorite trade comes after 10:30, where I'm looking for the IB levels, either an expansion of the initial balance range, or I'm looking for a range rotation from an initial balance. So if we were to get a range rotation today, there is not enough range. This initial balance area is far too small. So initial balance is set between 9:30 and 10:30. You will see on my indicator suite, it will set this for you automatically. Here goes the Dixie trying the breakout move. So this is looking better now. Issue is we have that old supply block underneath us now turn demand. So remember the red level that I deleted down here will now be some form of demand. They will be trying to base off this level here. That is problematic. So you can see not taken any trades, just waiting patiently. Okay, here we go, driving down now. Now we have a potential change of character if this closes in the next second, which it does. Okay, so now we could potentially be looking for a short, okay? Could be looking for that short rotation. What I don't like, again, the Dixie has failed, and this is the problem with the market right now, that I lack conviction when it is not lining up. VIX is having a nice push here, which is good, but the Dixie has failed to break out. Okay, I would much rather be looking at this short with the Dixie driving higher. NQ looks good, driving down. It's going to come and test that 5-day moving average. So I would like to get involved here. So we'd need a pullback in after some displacement. See how important this 5-day moving average is and these anchored VWAPs and this previous day open. So you need to be careful it doesn't sweep the previous day open to move higher now. But I do think we are in a sell, especially if the Dixie can get going. And especially if the VIX can get going. But I do not like seeing these just statically moving right now. We are back in range. We're just back in a range we created yesterday, and that's not something I love. So to show you on a 10-minute chart, okay, this was a range yesterday and a range a few days before. Okay, lots of chopping here, so it might not happen fast, and that is the problem. So VIX starting to push now, which is good. Dixie seems like it might have caught a bid here. New 5-minute candle coming now. See if it can just drive up.
Order submitted.
Just washing without me right now. Dixie again showing weakness here. Was looking for a return back into 75, but I
Order
don't like it
canceled.
now, so taking it off. Dixie showing far too much weakness. NQ holding its 20-day, trying to drive back into the 5-day. This is what I mean, it's a very sensitive area here. See that drive back in. That's why I took it off. Once we saw Dixie starting to get weak. Now you might get a failed follow through setup here. Again, we've left those equal highs. We would need this to drive into 75 and above for that golden pocket short, which it is now doing. And notice how the Dixie is driving higher while we're driving higher. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to the market not being particularly clean right now. Very, very hard to time the market well for a good continuation trade. Okay, so I'm glad I took that off. Testing the 5-day, now through the 5-day. So now it seems like it might have trapped shorts there. Would need to see this Dixie drive considerably higher now. Otherwise, I think we have a chance to come and take out those equal highs. ES showing relative strength compared to the NQ. NQ look, has rolled over and is failing to reclaim this kissing level here. Dixie looking much better now. Five-day holding up well there. We'll just see if we can get like a 2-try fail here now. One more minute for the 5-minute candle. So sorry, on these I'm trading multiple monitors here, so you won't see everything. Can't put it all on one screen. So I'm watching, this is the stream for you. I also have a 5-minute, a 15-minute, an hourly, and a 1-minute, which I'm trading off. So now I have to see if it's going to do a breakdown. So if I go to a lower time frame for you now, you need to see if it's going to do a break of structure underneath this low here now. Now be the confirmation of the change of character. We also have news in 5 minutes, so they might clear the book. NQ is down to its view up line and 20-day and flow zones, right? So there's lots of structure there for it. Again, still no trades. I've not placed a trade yet. I am just waiting. There's the W pattern off the lower flow zone, the 72.90. These are rolling Fibonacci's. And again, stuck at the anchored VWAP and stuck at the 5 day. So you can see how tight this range is. It's why I'm not particularly interested in a trade right now. We're not at an optimal level for a short rotation back down. We've left equal highs. We are trapping in a very tight range with not even 10 points here really. So until the VIX breaks out, until we start getting over 14 with the drive, until the Dixie starts breaking out here, it's going to make it very, very, very hard for that short continuation trade. It can just build liquidity. Let's have a look how the big seven are doing. So treasuries are up, Nvidia's up, Microsoft is down, Google is up, Apple is up, Meta is up, Amazon is up, AMD is up. So very hard to short the market when the big seven, the magnificent seven, are driving higher. Really, you need to ask yourself, is there a trade in here? All right, not really much in here, is there? Notice how the flow zones are now going sideways. This, for me, is always an indication of a no trade day. If we fail to expand higher or fail to expand lower, and we are just going to chop in a very small initial balance of 10 points, I will not place a trade, whether I'm well or got flu or whatever. Even if I'm feeling the best I've ever felt, I'm not interested in trading in a very tight range like this. This is how they build liquidity, all right? This is the liquidity move for this next move up or this next move down. You are better off just waiting. NQ looks much, much better today than ES. So here is a potential bear flag break. Here is the 10 o'clock news. So they have pulled most orders. They're starting to put some orders back on the book now. Possible tug coming here. Look at the Dixie starting to drive higher. Really would like to see the VIX join in here. Look at that chop. got to be patient. If you are trading this in a 1 minute, I would advise you just really simply move to a 3 minute or a 5 minute. Okay, just give yourself more time. Okay, wait for a break of structure under here now and a retest to fail. That is going to be your best trade if you are struggling and getting chopped up in these levels. If you're looking for a short, that is. If you're looking for a long right now, I would just be patient. Okay, either wait for the deeper pullback or wait for this break above and retest above. Do not become the liquidity in this zone. Like I said, we have anchored VWAP, we have previous day low, we have another anchored VWAP, we have the 5-day moving average, we have all of my flow zones, and we're at 50% of yesterday's move. Okay, we're bang in 50%, so we're not really in premium, we're not really in discount. We are figuring out what we will do next. So what you can now do is look at an hourly chart. Okay, so on an hourly chart, we are holding the previous hour and looking to drive. So there's nothing in here to signify a short on the hourly chart for me. This is the old hourly supply block, which we peaked through. So we'd need to see it fail underneath that. If it continues to base here, okay, then we can have a rather large use of liquidity like this. Okay, and then that would complete a cup, and then we could do that move. All right, so that is why you must be careful looking for the short here. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying be cautious in the area that you trade in. We are in a ranging market. We are not at an extreme. This is how I got caught yesterday. We are literally bang in the middle of the range created over the last 13 days. Rejection here on the Dixie. Remember, this is a 10-minute chart below. These are all 10-minute charts. So the Qs, they came down to VWAP on the 20-day and they caught a bid so far. So on the Qs, if you were looking for a short, you would need to go from that high to the low. Is this going to work for me? You would need a return back into the golden zone. Right now, there is not really anything of interest. There is a very slight imbalance here, okay, which has been respected. So that could be your failed follow-through area, which would be 50% of the current move. The problem is we are in bullish structure. Okay, we are in bullish structure. So we have a change of character underneath this low on a 3-minute. We left equal highs, we came down, we haven't given a continuation. So anyone who follows how I teach, here is your change of character, here would be your break of structure. We confirm the move down once we get that break of structure, which currently it is not doing. Okay, so this is a good short up here, but it is a high risk short because there's no confirmation of a trend change. If you're waiting for confirmation, you must wait for a break of structure after the change in character. So to draw this out for you, this is how the chart currently looks. Okay, there's your change of character, and you must wait for a break of structure and pull in. This is why it can trap. Why can it trap? Because it can do this kind of W shape here. And I would bet you that that W shape is being created off a 30 to 38% move, because flags love to be created off a 30 to 38% move. So let me just have a look. If we go from this low right here, previous day low, to the open, you will see it is not even deep enough to do a 38%. Absolutely insane. So you're buying a very shallow pullback if you're buying that. Notice again, Dixie failing. So I'm just going to talk through what I'm seeing and why I'm less interested right now. Dixie cannot make its mind up, all right? It held the 5-day, this blue line, drove into the flow zones and failed to move higher. Okay, failed to move higher, which means what? The indices can now have a chance to push up into that top level here of supply. VIX is stuck. It is not moving, all right, which means we are in a choppy market. And the Qs came down. They tested the 20-day. That's the purple line. They tested the flow zones. That's the 13 and 21 on a 10-minute. And they tested the VWAP and they held. And they are trying to drive higher right now into its golden pocket from this pull. All right. So this is not an ideal environment to be trading in right now, which is not surprising because we have non-farm payrolls coming tomorrow. I'll probably give this 5 more minutes and then call it a day. Remember, the best trade will come after the initial balance, which is the 930 to 1030 level. Tagging the 5-day there. It should drive higher, so they've successfully trapped now, and now they have a chance to do what? They have a chance to go for those equal highs I kept talking about. These were far too smooth. There are far too many stops sat right here on the short. Okay, so if they have any spuds about them in this market and the market makers want to be cruel, they are going to drive up and take these stops out. Notice we don't have the same on the underside, all right? We have this move down and then we are building higher lows. So that is the big difference here. These equal highs are begging to get run because you have 1, 2, 3 minutes of shorts up there using it as a level. Doesn't mean they have to, it just means it's sitting a bit too clean for me to feel like I'd want to take it. So right here on this leg, you had a golden zone drive in. So again, you are building liquidity here. You are building potential bear flag, and you have resting liquidity up above. So if you are a breakdown trader, you would be looking for this breakdown short now on the bear flag. Again, why I don't teach breakouts. This is why trend lines do not work most of the time, because the market knows how to use them. Okay, so now it is encouraged everyone to get short in here, and it's going to use their stops now to try and attack these equal highs. And if it attacks those equal highs, it's going to have a run at that bigger supply zone up here, which is ultimately the target it wants to get to. The only thing getting in its way now is now the Dixie is going up. But like I've said to you, we have not been in a really nice market where everything is in good order flow together. So notice the Qs are driving up. They're going to try and take out the last 10-minute high, which means they're going to have a run up to 960. Dixie is driving up at the same time that we are driving up in the indices, and the VIX is still stuck, which the VIX being stuck is absolutely fine. It just means if it's not moving up, okay, then we are not going to move down. And here you go. You're likely to get your drive now. Again, this is why I don't teach these. Look at this breakout short people would have got trapped in for a bear flag underneath the flow zones, all right? Like I kept saying, it's a very shallow pullback, but we had not got a break of structure to confirm the short continuation. The break of structure would have needed to happen underneath this level here, and we would have needed to see this pattern play out, which we didn't get. Okay, so while I have not taken a trade, I am very safe in this market. And guess what we've just taken? We have taken those equal highs, and if we haven't, we are right about to, because there's absolutely no way it is going to leave 3 of these at the top. You best believe it is going to pop through these, and probably quite violently, straight up. Here now it's taken it. So now the question will be, can it trap breakout buyers into supply? So the next level on the book is 85. The book's pretty clear until then. There's some passive orders stacked up for people to sell some once it pops through 80, but most of the liquidity is at 85, and you will see 85 is the middle part of the golden zone, and it is the start of the main supply. Okay, so if you got chopped up in here this morning, you are not listening or understanding the clues the market left. This equal high was a clue that it wanted to get swept. Okay, the shallow pullback without a break of structure underneath the change of character was a clue it was not yet ready to roll over. There you go. Here is the extension. So now it's successfully created a bull flag. Okay, so there was the algo trapping people in this pattern here. Okay, so it rolled over, it needed to create liquidity, it did this W pattern, did a fake breakout of the bear flag, and now is running the highs. Right, everything that we talked about and why the location was key, because we are in a trading range, a very large trading range, and like I said, the acceleration now will be violent, because now it got enough shorts trapped on that breakdown and it will rotate to the high. So we are looking far more likely now for a deeper push in and a potential cup. Okay, we are looking at a potential cup. This is why yesterday I was looking long, because I felt like we would take this out the top. I was just a day early. So this is a potential move now over the forthcoming days. Okay, so I'm going to delete this fib because I know where the golden zones are. Beautiful move this morning. I said it would get violent, it is now getting violent. Look at this Dixie, just absolutely dumping right now. NQ's breaking out as well. That's what we like to see. And we're into the start of supply. Now this can actually be refined all the way up to 88. But notice how we tapped supply and we've had a reaction from it instantly. Why is that? That is the old level on the H1. Okay, we are testing an H1 level. I will show you on here. Okay, this is the old level on the H1. See all this base, push, fail. So this is the level we have come and tested. This is why we've had a reaction. The better level is up here towards 90. So I'm going to give it 10 more minutes on the stream and then I'll call it a day for you. I'm probably going to go back to bed. Really not feeling too sharp today. So you would be looking now for a pullback, for a break and retest type move. Again, the flag will build off this 38%. A deeper trace would be for a break and retest. Again, violently moving higher now. Okay, very shallow pullback. Why was it a shallow pullback? Because we broke out. So it did not need to do a deep test, all right? Probably did 30%, not even 38%. Expanding higher now into supply. Now it can start flipping lots of zones up here because lots of people got short thinking that that move yesterday was indeed the start of the rollover. And I said in the video last night, I still felt very bullish on this. I felt like there were traps being set. All that happened was I was a day early for this. They needed to drive back down to demand to get lots of shorts interested in the rollover because shorts are always greedy. And then we squeezed them overnight, did a shallow pullback, flipped a old level of supply into demand, set a W trap, faked a breakdown on a bear flag, and now we are going to run everybody out the market. All right, so it all makes total sense when you understand how the market works, when you can zoom out and see the liquidity. All right, I talked about it this morning. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. They ran this whole liquidity here for this move back into supply. And I am still convinced that unless something absolutely terrible comes, we will do this tomorrow, if not today. That's probably it for me today. I hope some of this helped you learn and understand how market makers move the market, why understanding where supply and demand is so important. You do not want to get trapped in these middle plays, all right? You want to be rotating with the market, following the momentum. Like I said numerous times today, the momentum was extremely bullish, and until the VIX broke out and the Dixie broke out, we were likely to do this move. Right, so I hope that helped you. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully, if I'm not sick in bed. But until then, trade safe, use hard stops.